Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Good. Welcome to Whispers and Bricks. My name is Ari Schonbrun and I'm your host. I have with me today a very interesting woman. Her name is Nidhi Belani. And Nidhi is an interview and people skills specialist. She's certified, she's a certified image consultant, an NLP coach, ACTA certified trainer, and founder of Success Talks, a coaching academy based out of Singapore. She works with career oriented individuals globally to ace their interviews and get hired for their dream job by focusing on every aspect of interview preparation. Now, Nidhi was part of a cabin crew and training with Singapore Airlines. She has since taken the skills acquired from her 15 years of experience in the training and service industry to build a community of over 50,000 followers and subscribers on her channel or profile on YouTube and Instagram. Through her work, over 500 cabin crew aspirants have successfully cleared their interview and flying as cabin crew or working in the customer service positions with many of the major airlines, including Singapore Airlines, Qatar Airways, Emirates, Virgin Atlantic, Air Asia, just to name a few. Her job as an interview coach is to help people who are struggling to achieve their goals and clear interviews by overcoming obstacles. How to deal with the peer competition in interviews and develop the confident mindset is a key part in her training. Please help me welcome Nidhi Belani. Nidhi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you once again for accommodating the time as well. I'm here in Singapore, so it's really early in the morning, and I believe it's the end of the day for you.
Yeah, it is. But that's okay. I don't mind. I work strange hours anyway. And I know you work strange hours, so we're both in the same boat. Anyway, as you know, the name of this podcast is Whispers and Bricks. The whispers are those voices telling you what the right thing to do is and represents the good in life. And the bricks represent the bad things we go through in life. Now, reading your bio, it seems as though you had a pretty good life and a pretty good career. But we know that there are many bumps in the road, and you
Yeah.
got hit with a brick that essentially ended your career and forced you to reinvent yourself. Now, many of my listeners have gone through the same type of situation, and they're wondering how you got through those bricks. They need to know that there are whispers out there that could save them. So, before we get into the bricks part of the story, tell us about your life as a cabin crew member on Singapore Airlines. Like, what led you to this career? How did you do it? And what was like one of the funniest or strangest things that happened to you as a crew member? All yours. Go for it.
Thank you. So all of this started in 2006 when I was still pretty young. And actually, my sister is still a cabin crew with Air India, and she's still flying. So I think she's been with the flying industry, and she's been a cabin crew for about 18 years now, roughly. So that's where it all started. And in 2006, my mom was the one who actually told me that maybe I should give it a go as well. Cabin crew sounds looks like a very lucrative uh, industry from the perspective of flying around the world, staying in five-star hotels and stuff like that. So it's a really glamorous life and things like that. Because my sister was already doing it, so I knew the bitter truths as well. But then, yeah, overall, it seems like a really good opportunity for someone who's really young, right? So that's how it all started. In 2007, I finally got through Singapore Airlines, but then it wasn't actually very easy. I really have to thank my mom. She was a big supporter. So I still remember in 2007 when I actually was it? Yeah, 2007. So when I actually got my letter to I got my and at that time the interview processes used to take really long time. Like today it takes one day. It used to take 1 year. to
One year?
Yeah, it used to take 1 year to get into an international airline most of the times, because at that point in time, they will fly over and then they'll interview you for the first first part, and then they'll go back again, and then they'll think through. Then 6 months later, they will interview you again and things like that. So I had to wait for over a year before I actually got through the international airline because it used to take a really long time.
Wow. Was that like really
Yeah.
grueling for you?
It was, it was. I mean, I was doing what I really loved. I was training back then. So I was really
Mm.
happy with my life. And I used to do emceeing and stuff like that. So I was really happy. Uh, Although, yes, in my heart, I was like, oh, I really want to get through this. So yeah,
Right.
I was waiting for the opportunity and I'm really glad it came. Just that when it came, I was actually in a hospital. And I had a major surgery. And I got into the hospital because my appendix actually burst.
Oh
But then on
my.
the operation table, we realized that I have an endometriosis cyst. So the doctor was like, okay, let's take that out too. And yeah, so like 8 hours later, I get back into my room. And then a day later, I get a letter from Singapore Airlines saying that if you want to join, you have to come over in 15 days.
Oh my God. What did you
And
do?
yeah, and the funny thing is, on the same day, I actually got a letter from Kingfisher, which is actually a local airline back in India. Used to be, actually, it closed down, and they gave me a letter saying that you're selected and would you like to join. So here I had to make a choice whether I can stay in India, recover, and just join a local airline, and then maybe go international later. But then I had this great opportunity at the same time where I had to pack everything with blue blacks all over my hand, still in the hospital, don't know how and when will I recover, but be in Singapore in 15 days. So that's where my mom stepped up, and being the woman she is, amazing motivator, great supporter, just always been there for us, I mean, my sister. So yeah, so she said, you know what? You don't get such opportunities again and again. We're going to go to Singapore. I'll take care of you. I'll come with you.
Oh wow.
so so she was my whisper, actually.
Wow. Wow. You know,
Yeah,
I find whenever I talk, most of my guests, you know, and I'll ask the question like, who is the you know, who is the person who had the most influence in your life and why? And invariably, first of all, everybody says, you know, you need a mentor. And it was usually a mom or a dad, all right,
yeah,
who had the most influence. It's you know, it kind of makes sense, you know, but very often, I mean, you know, they don't very often the parents don't have a clue as to what the child is doing, or you know, they don't understand what they're doing depending upon
yeah.
what area of work they're going into, but yet they are still considered the chief motivators, and the people that they most people look up to is their parents. So it makes a lot of sense that your mom would step up.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and I'm so thankful to her. So yeah, we came here, and then I had the most amazing 10 years of my life, I have to say. Uh, they were so good that I did not even feel the need to to report sick for work even for a single day. So I had the record for not reporting sick for unnecessary reasons for like, in 10 years, I didn't do it even once.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I absolutely fell in love with the job. People were amazing. So I had a bit of a different experience from a lot of Indians who come to Singapore Airlines to join Singapore Airlines, because obviously you're a foreigner, it takes time to adapt to the culture. I was really lucky because I really got immersed into the company. So to me, it wasn't really about flying. I was really part of the organization. I used to have uh, I was part of the safety team. I was doing investigations. I was part of their media team. I was part of the training team. I was actually the Indian cultural ambassador, so representing the India side of it and the culture. And we used to organize all the events. Yeah, and the surprising fact is that I'm not a travel person. I'm not someone who goes like, oh, okay, great, this is a great place, I'm gonna like enjoy myself. So yeah, it was, if you're at one place at one point in time, and if you go there again, be like, okay, I've been here before, so that's good, we've done the travel bit. So for me, it was the entire experience. Like, I loved the 14 hours on the flight where you get to meet people, you get to talk to people, you get to serve them, you just get to see them smile, and at the end of the day, you're like, oh, you did a great job. So I think that was really, really
Wow.
what did it for me. just being out there. And, every day is a challenge because I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but when you're working for an international airline where you have like, 8,000 people working in a company, the people that you work with, you actually don't get to see them ever again. And these are the people that you might have met. I mean, you meet them for the first time in your life in the briefing room, and you only have like 5 to 10 minutes to get to know them, and then you're put together to work in a team. And you have to look like that, these people, their strengths, their weaknesses, and you have to put together a team. And you have to go out there and do your best as a team. And then you're probably never going to see them ever in your life again, but then God forbid, if there is an emergency, you're actually ready to give your life for these people. So I think that was mind blowing for me.
Wow.
The whole job. Yeah.
Wow. So tell me, what was like the funniest thing or the strangest thing that happened
Oh.
to you as a crew member?
Oh my God, there's like so many of them. Okay, but this is one of my favorites. So I'm gonna tell you this one. So yeah, I'm someone who's not really there just to do the job. I really get involved, and I love having fun on my flights, and I love having, to talk to people. So I remember I was operating a 747, a Boeing, and these are really old aircrafts, and I had just started flying, like I think 2 years into flying. Yeah. So these are really old aircrafts, and we have the entertainment system that we call CMIV. So these are the entertainment systems where people can watch movies. So given that it's an old aircraft, very seldom, if a system were to go down, it's going to come up. It takes a while for it to come up. So it was a Hong Kong turn, and Hong Kong turns are super busy. So it's like a 3.5 hours flight where you actually have to do full service. That takes about 2 hours. And then you have like a drink service, and it gets really, really busy. And the thing with the system is that it's actually right where the cockpit is. So you have to walk all the way from the back of the cabin to the front of the cabin to reset the system. And then you have to wait for 10 minutes. If it doesn't come up, then you have to do that walk all over again. So it takes a lot of time, and it's very time sensitive for a Hong Kong flight to be able to do that. So there was this couple, and I did the reset. I did it twice, and then we were just about to land. We had an hour left, and I knew it's not going to work, and I knew at the back of my head. So of course, I gave him the magazines and I gave everything that I could, but I just wanted to be funny. So I told the gentleman that I have to be really honest, sir. This is not going to work. I've really tried my best. I can get you the magazines and stuff like that. But if you really want to be entertained, I think you should do two things. You can either look at me or you can look at your wife. I'm lucky the wife didn't slap me.
I wow.
Yeah, no, but I think it's really important to enjoy your flights. And I still remember there was this one particular flight. Oh my God, you have to know about this, and this is quite memorable to me as well. So we usually have appraisals on flights. So you're given like check reports on flights based on your performance. And there is this section where we measure how is your service recovery skills, how well you can recover from a service mishap. So there's this one particular flight where again, it was a bit of a rush flight, and then on that particular flight, same aisle, same row, I did this to 3 passengers. One, I spilled a can of beer on the guy, like my hand flipped over and it spilled. The other guy had a masala chai in his beard because my hand flew, and then the masala chai flew, and then it was all over his beard, his jacket. And then the third guy, I kind of moved backwards because I wanted to take something from the cart, and my butt hit the elbow, and the masala and the tea or coffee he was drinking kind of fell on him.
Oh my God.
So these are three incidents and back to back on the same flight, same row, and I actually got 90% for service recovery. The beer guy took a photo with me. He was so happy.
Wow. Wow.
So
And you got to keep your job.
yes, I got to keep my job because everyone was so happy. Nobody wanted to complain.
Wow.
So
Wow.
and my supervisor was like, "How did you do it? Like, how can you still get a 90% on your service recovery by doing all of this?" And I was like, it's
Wow.
people skills.
It is, by the way, it is people skills. Some people have great skills and others don't. And it's not often where a person who's in a specific job is actually perfect for that job. As an example, there teachers,
Yeah,
teachers to me come to mind that um, there are good teachers, there are great teachers, and there are bad teachers, but there are very few that are so suited for the position that like kids just gravitate to them. And I could say that because my second daughter, is a second grade teacher, and the kids just gravitate towards her. As a matter of fact, when school is at the end of the year, the kids cry that they're not going to have Mrs. Chinsky anymore. So
oh,
it's right. It's a certain, you have to have a certain feeling for it. And when you have that feeling, it's not something you teach. It's something that it's
gotcha.
inbred. All right. And I think you can teach people skills, but the inbred personality of a person, all right, is something you can't teach. And so
Absolutely.
you either have it or you don't. All right, so that's great. A lot of fun. All right. But now tell us about tell us about the brick you got hit with. Where were you? What happened? Um, and how did you deal with it? And you're laughing and you're smiling. We're talking about a brick here and you're laughing and smiling. I love it. I love it.
Oh, so I think it happened in 2015. Was it 15, 16? I can't remember now. Yeah, but I think end of 2015. Yes, yes. So I was in Paris, a place where most people fall in love,
Yeah.
but I fell in the bathtub.
Wait a minute. What were you doing in Paris? You were on a layover?
Yeah, it was a layover.
It's a
So usually
layover.
in Paris, we stay for about 2 nights.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is just before I was getting ready for my flight in the morning. And I promise I wasn't drunk. I promise I wasn't doing anything. I was just getting ready. I was going to take a shower. So this particular boutique hotel actually doesn't have those side handles and stuff like that.
Right.
We were staying in a boutique hotel, and they had advised us to be careful. So I guess it was just meant to happen. I look at it
So
that
I
way.
guess they told you to be careful, and you said, "Yeah, I'm going to ignore that."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll try. So yeah, I was taking a shower and I fell backwards. I slipped and I fell backwards and I hit my tailbone on the tap. So they did not
Oh
have a
my
shower.
God.
It was
Oh.
a bathtub.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so when it happened, I couldn't actually. So my for some weird reason, my threshold for pain is really high.
Right.
So when that happened, I actually thought it's okay. Maybe it's just
A
a
bruise or
knock and I
something.
can get up. So actually I couldn't really get up, but I tried to crawl, and then I got up. I stood up and I tried to wear my uniform. I really tried.
Yeah.
I kind of bend a little bit. I tried to wear my uniform, but yeah, I couldn't. The moment I couldn't hook my bra is where I realized, okay, something is wrong. I'm not able to do it. And then I went to lie down on the bed, and that's it. I couldn't get up. So then I had to call the paramedics, and I was
So who
taken
did you?
to.
So wait a minute. So time out. Time out. So you're a foreigner. You're in a strange land. I don't know. Do you speak French?
No, I don't.
So you don't
I don't.
speak French. You don't speak the language. You're in a foreign country. First of all, like who did you? How did you know who to call? And who did you call?
Yes. So we have protocols in place when something like that happens. So that ways most airlines are quite equipped with what we need to do, and they have medical facilities where we can be attended to. So that's actually really
Oh,
good.
okay. All right.
So in these situations, usually you'll call your supervisor, your flight
Right.
supervisor, and you let them know, and then they'll take it from there, basically. So
Right.
that's what I did.
So you called your supervisor and you said,
Actually, I
I've
called my
got
boss
something.
instead.
I've
I
got
asked him
something.
whether I should report sick or not.
He said, I've got something really, really embarrassing to tell you, but I can't come to work today because I slipped in the shower and I broke my tailbone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is that the
I
best you
actually didn't
got?
know by till then that I broke my tailbone. I had no idea.
No, you knew you couldn't move though.
Yeah, yeah, but I could, I literally I was crawling, but when I was in the bed, I couldn't get up. So I guess,
Right.
yeah,
So
that
what
was an
happened?
indication. Yeah, so I called her. It was a female supervisor. She was very supportive, very nice. She came down to the room, and then she called the medical team. The paramedics came, and then they had to. So this hotel is really funny because this hotel is like a spiral staircase,
Mhm.
and the lift is really small. So the stretcher really can't go into the lift. So they had to put me on a stretcher, and then like two really handsome guys. I have to say, very handsome paramedics carried me down the spiral staircase. And I think I was very scared at that point in
I
time.
hear, I hear.
Yeah, then that's it basically. They took me to the hospital and then we did the x-ray and stuff and we found out that I broke my tailbone.
Mm.
And so I was in Paris for about a month. Yeah,
And where
I
were
stayed in
you?
the hotel room for a month
You stayed in the
because
hotel room for a month.
yeah, because
Right.
I couldn't I wasn't
You
I couldn't
couldn't.
get onto a flight.
Wow.
I had to
And
basically I had to be stretched. I had to be on a wheelchair. So I think I don't remember stepping out of my hotel room for the first I think yeah, almost for the entire month. It's only when I felt a little bit better because when you have like a broken tailbone, you can't do anything. There is no plaster, there is
right,
nothing you can do. You can just
right.
sit on that
What
pole.
were they able to do anything for you, or is it just you have to just wait it out?
You just have to wait it out because coccyx injury, you can't do anything
Oh
basically.
my God.
Yeah, you just have to kind of like sit in a place.
Did you
You
get
have
a
to sit
hold?
in that hole, that cushion with the
Yeah,
hole. So
yeah,
that yeah, so that's what I used to sit on
yeah.
in my
Oh
room
God.
basically, and then everyone used to come. So, but my crew were really nice. So a lot of my friends used to come, and then they used to bring food for me. Used to bring stuff from Singapore, like my clothes and stuff. So I
Wow.
think that was really
Wow.
sweet. But yeah, I was there for about a month.
Did your mom ever come? Did you call her or did you not tell her? I could see you not telling her. You didn't tell her, did you?
Yeah.
No,
So
you
I
didn't
think
tell her.
ever since I
Okay.
came to Singapore, I've been through a lot of surgeries. I've been through 4 surgeries in my life. And yeah, I decided not to tell my mom because I knew
Wow.
she was just going to pack everything. She's going to come over and
Right.
she was not in a position to do that anymore.
Right.
Uh, she's been fragile. So yeah, I didn't tell her. I did tell her.
So let me ask you this. So at that point in time, is that when like your how did that affect your career? Let me ask you that question.
Yeah, so
Like,
I
did it put
actually
an end
thought
to
that
it?
I personally didn't want to end it. I actually really enjoyed flying. I was getting to do training, which I loved. So I was actually doing everything that I loved. I wasn't really
Right.
compromising on anything. So, in all honesty, I didn't want to end my career with Singapore Airlines. But once I got back to flying, and then I couldn't do it. I tried for almost a year. Every time I would go on a flight, it used to be so bad that if I sit down to get something from a cart, I can't get up without assistance. Like I literally had to hold on to
Wow.
something to get up. And then I couldn't stand for more than 5 minutes. My knees, my heels would start hurting. And it's a demanding job. You really have to be on
Right.
your feet for like a really long time. And they wouldn't, I mean, they let me take offs, they let me take medical leaves, but I don't think they can let me be on medical leave
Forever.
forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then that's when I met my, that's when I had met my boyfriend, who is now my
Right.
husband.
Hmm.
And then, he suggested that maybe I should call
Look for.
it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's when we decided that, okay, I think it's time to end my flying career.
Right. So
And yeah.
that must have been devastating for you, considering the fact how much you loved it and you wanted it and you worked so hard for it and to get to where you got to, and then all of a sudden just to, like I'm done, it's just. But then again, when one door closes, another door opens. So tell us, obviously you beat that brick and you started to do something else. What was it that you started to do after that?
Yeah, so I knew that the flying would end, but I always knew that the training will not because that is something that I loved doing ever since I think I started training when I was 18, 18 or 19 myself. So uh, yeah, I always knew that I'm going to do training. So that's how it all started. I realized that I have so much experience. I have an international brand that I work with. Singapore Airlines is known for its service, so I can actually make it into something for myself. So that's how I started Success Talks in
Uh-huh.
2017.
Okay.
So first of all, actually, it wasn't really coaching that I got into. I really wanted to build a brand. I think that that's really important to have brand credibility, personal credibility. So it's really funny. So this is a funny story. So my husband is actually a musician. By passion, and
Yeah.
he has a YouTube channel, and where he talks about guitars and stuff. So that's where the idea to go on social media came by, because I was never on social media before that. So my husband then had about 200 subscribers, and he said, "Hey, if I can do it, you can do it too." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yes, I think I can do it." And then I shot my first video, and then there was no looking back. So basically, I tried to make my brand very visible on social media by educating, by empowering, by sharing information. And then one thing led to the other. Then we basically started coaching, taking up people for cabin crew interviews. I didn't really think that I'm going to be training people on interviews, but I think one thing led to the other. A lot of people started talking to me about interviews. And because I'm an NLP coach, I realized there's a lot of NLP training that I can actually incorporate into interview training. So that's how it became a specialty. So I took all the experience. My actor certification had given me a lot of training to be a trainer. So I took all of that and combined it into becoming an interview coach. But I also do corporate trainings. I do customer service trainings for different organizations. But my own personal passion lies into interview coaching at this point in time.
Wow. Wow. That sounds really, really great. So let me ask you this before we end. Do you have any words of wisdom for my audience? In other words, somebody who's, it happens every day, believe it or not, and I'm sure you believe it, that people lose a job for one reason or another, whether it's from their point of view that they have to leave or they get fired or something like that. You obviously were unable to continue doing the job that you were doing. You were at a situation where you were probably a pretty low point in your life, going like, what the heck am I going to do now? I can't believe this is happening to me. And people, this is what people are going through, especially coming
Yeah.
out of COVID. So many people have, jobs are gone, and
Yeah.
and it's people are wondering like, what do I do? And obviously they'll take a lesson from you because you just persevered. You didn't care. In other words, you pulled yourself up by the bootstraps and you said, I'm going to beat this thing. And you made a new career and a new life for yourself, which is great. And that's kind of the message I'm getting out from this conversation for my audience. But do you have any words of wisdom that you can offer to my audience?
Yes. Two things actually. We always say that when one door closes, the other one opens, and you have to look for opportunities. And I think that's fantastic. But I also feel it's equally important to create opportunities. You don't just have to, look at them. You really have to do something about it. You have to create opportunities for yourselves. So, for everyone out there probably who's losing jobs at this point in time, and, they're probably looking out for one, that's fantastic. But then you can actually go a step ahead and you can start networking with people. You just don't have to look for jobs. You can actually network with people, and then you can create opportunities for yourself. So, a lot of my students who come to me and they tell me, oh, where should I look for job opportunities? And I tell them, why don't you actually go on LinkedIn and network with people in your industry first, instead of actually just looking for the job straight away? Because then you can create something out of it. You can create an opportunity, you can talk to them and things like that. And so that's what I'm going to tell people. You've got to create it. You can't just keep looking for it all the time. Like for myself, I had to create this whole thing. Instead of just, looking for how can I be a corporate trainer, I realized that there is so much saturation in the market when it comes to corporate trainers. So I created this whole coaching for myself from scratch, because it gave me a niche, it gave me a credibility in the market. And that's how I was able to survive through COVID. And I decided that I'm
Wow.
going to be online. So that's one thing that I'm going to tell people for sure. The second thing I think is really important is, a lot of times in life, we look for external motivations. We look for people to push us in the right direction. We look for people to support us. But I think you are your own biggest motivator. You are your own biggest supporter. you've got to wake up every day and you've got to tell yourself that you can do it. You've got to be able to look into the mirror or wherever your motivation comes from. Because for me, I have this big mirror, which is right next to my bed, and I wake up every day and look into the mirror and, do my positive affirmations. So yeah, there's a reason I put her behind me. Because I honestly think you've got to do it for yourself. No one else is going to do it on a regular basis for you. There will be people in your lives like my mom who would push me, my husband who will give me that support. But then, when you hit rock bottom, you've got to pick yourself up. You can't expect people to give you that hand all the time. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's terrific. Tremendous words of wisdom. Tremendous. It's great. So let me ask you this. If people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that? You have a website, you have email. How can people get a hold of you if they want to talk to you or if they want to go through one of your programs? Where would they do that?
So the easiest way would be to actually go to my website, and website is pretty straightforward. It's so the only thing that people have to do is have to put HTTPS, and then they could go to nidhi-belani.com.
Oh,
That's the website.
you
And
gotta, you gotta, you gotta spell that.
okay, sorry. So HTTPS
Yeah.
colon slash slash NIDHI dash BELANI.com.
Okay. So it's Nidhi Belani, Nidhi-Belani.com.
Yes,
That's the
correct.
website.
Yes.
Okay. And what about an email address?
So actually, the better way to reach out to me would be to go through the website, because we organize a lot of free webinars for a lot of people on different topics. So that's the way we actually interact with our audience. And there's a newsletter that people can sign up for. There's an interview checklist that people can get for free. So those would be two avenues. They don't really have to send me an email in particular, because we have a channel that we set up. Once you get into our email list, then we will send you details about our webinars. You come through the webinars. If you find value, then you can actually sign up for our coaching.
Oh, wow.
You just don't have to go through the coaching directly. And of course, there's Instagram and there's YouTube, which is just my name, Nidhi
Right.
Belani. So
Nidhi
people can
Belani.
actually follow me
Okay.
there and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Okay. So it's www.nidhi-belani.com. All right. So anybody that's looking for Nidhi and they want her help, or they just want somebody to talk to, all right, go to her website, look her up. She's terrific. I mean, you've obviously heard her on this podcast. She's great. She's very open. She's waiting for people to get in touch with her, and she's going to literally change your life. Just you have to make the first move, because she can't reach out to you, so you have to reach out to her. And believe me, it will be well worth it. Nidhi, thanks so much for being my guest today on the show. It was wonderful. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for touching the hearts of my audience. Good luck going forward. Keep up the good work. You've been listening to Whispers and Bricks, and I'm your host, Ari Showman. Until next time, listen to the whispers, avoid the bricks, and never, ever give up on your dreams. Bye for now.